Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinode. Continuing reading from Bhaktivinode Thakur's Chaitanya Shikshamrta. And this is, what is this? This section is, Chapter 3, Part 2. And it's called The Rules for Cultivating Bhakti. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Following the rules of bhakti to attract the heart to the lotus feet of Krishna, while simultaneously maintaining the body through the rules of varnashram, is called bhakti yoga. The cultivation of the Lord is essential in this process. There are 5 types of cultivation: the body, the mind, the soul, matter, and society. There are 7 types of bodily cultivation using the external senses: hearing, chanting, smelling, seeing, touching, tasting, and moving limbs. Cultivation through hearing may be by hearing scriptures, the name of the Lord, songs about the Lord, lectures about the Lord. Hearing scriptures consists of hearing topics on the philosophical status of the Lord, descriptions of the Lord's activities, stories of the lives of devotees, Puranic histories of the devotees' dynasties. Those works written by devotees of the Lord should be heard with the proper conclusion. Those which present non-devotional conclusions should be avoided. The conclusion of all scriptures is devotion to the Lord. Understanding scriptures takes place through a 6-fold process: upakrama, upasamara, abhyasa, apravata, pala, atavada, and upapatti. Through this process, one can arrive at the conclusion that devotion to the Lord is the most important, is the import of all scriptures. The devotee will listen to those songs which cultivate devotion by description of the Lord's pastimes, rather than those songs which are merely for satisfying the senses. He should strictly avoid those songs which increase material attachment of the mind. Prayers and instrumental music should be heard while offering service to the Lord. Cultivation through chanting is extremely powerful, and there are 5 types of chanting: recitation of scripture, recitation of the Lord's names and pastimes, recitation of verses, submissive offerings, and japa. Recitation of the Lord's names and pastimes may be done by song, narration, lecture, or class. Submissive offerings are of 3 types: prayer, admission of lowliness, and longing. Japa refers to soft chanting of the mantra. Cultivation of bhakti by using the sense of smell is performed by smelling flowers, tulsi, sandalwood, incense, garlands, and camphor, which have been offered to the Lord. Smelling those items which have not been offered to the Lord only increase material sense attachment and therefore must be avoided. Cultivation of sight is performed by seeing the deity, the devotees, the holy places, the temple, dramatic performances, and pictures depicting the Lord. The sense of sight, focusing on material forms, can throw a person into the well of material life, and thus seeing material forms must be avoided. Whatever a person sees in the world, he must relate it to the Lord. The devotee should become detached from sensation of touch related to external objects and take joy at touching the form of the Lord. He can get satisfaction by touching and embracing the devotees. The sense of touch is very powerful, leading to sins such as illicit sexual activities. The devotee must vow that under no circumstances to touch anyone except devotees. Touch does not refer to bodily contact as such, but to bodily contact which produces sense pleasure in the heart. The principle should be applied not only the touch, but all the senses. The devotee can engage the tongue in tasting food offered to the Lord and taking water used to wash the feet of the Lord. The devotee does not eat anything except prasadam from the Lord. By tasting material food, material conviction gradually becomes stronger. Remnants of the Lord and of the devotees may be eaten. Both nourish bhakti. Moving the limbs refers to dancing, paying respects, rising in respect, following after the deity or devotee, going to the temple, parikram, serving Guru and Vaishnav, worshipping the Lord, bathing in holy water, putting on Vaishnav markings, and putting the Lord's name on the body. The Vaishnav should pay respects by lowering 8 parts of his body. When seeing the deity or the devotee approach, the devotee should rise to his feet. When the devotee or deity moves, the devotee should follow behind. The devotee uses his legs to go to the temple, the holy places, and the devotees' houses. Worship refers to offering items to the deity. The devotee should bathe in the water of the Ganga and Yamuna, put on tilak according to the direction of the Guru, and decorate his body with names of the Lord. In this manner, the devotee on the path of Vaidhi Bhakti must cultivate devotion to the Lord by engaging the body. As the conditioned soul is bound by a body and must perform some necessary activities of the body, he should do them in such a way he does not become materially affected. By mixing all those activities with devotion to the Lord, he is able to cultivate his relationship with the Lord. In all the activities concerning the body, the mind is also acting. However, the mind also has ability to act when the body is not. These are the activities referred to as mental cultivation, to distinguish them from bodily cultivation. The activities of the mind are memory, thought, conscience, emotion, inquiry, and gathering of knowledge. By these functions, 5 types of devotional cultivation take place: remembrance, meditation, surrender, servitude, and inquiry. Memory is of 2 types: remembering the names of the Lord and remembrance of mantras of the Lord. Counting japa on Tulsi Mala is the first type. Repeating mantras using the fingers to count is remembrance of mantras. The difference between remembrance and meditation is that in remembrance, the appearance of the Lord's name, mantra, form, qualities, and pastimes occurs to a slight degree, whereas in meditation, the form, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord are clearly conceived. When meditation continues for a long time, it's called dharana, and when it is deep, it is called nididhyasana. Meditation encompasses both these practices. Surrender to the Lord while giving up all other interests is a type of bhakti. Those on the level of Vaidhi do not have such qualification, but to be convinced that the Lord is the only shelter is prescribed for them. This is called saranapati. Such devotees do not have aspiration for karma or jnana. Servitude refers to understanding that one is the servant of the Lord. This is a mental attitude, and those on the level of Vaidhi Bhakti cannot, however, taste completely the servitude which is included in the 5 major rasas. Inquiry is an important activity for the devotees. When inquiry about the Lord arises, a person surrenders to a guru, takes initiation, and then takes instruction on how to worship the Lord. How can the conditioned souls attain the ultimate good if they do not make inquiry about the truth? Asking about the real actions of the soul, Saddharma Pricha, is an important limb of devotion mentioned in the devotional scriptures. Cultivation of bhakti using the soul is of 6 types: friendship, surrender, making full efforts for the Lord, acceptance only of material necessities, rejecting personal pleasure, and following the path of previous devotees. The soul of the person performing Vaidhi Bhakti is not liberated, but rather conditioned. The pure soul is free of false ego. The Vaidhi Bhakti is attempting to become free from the material world, and though the bondage is somewhat loosened, traces of false ego remain. In such a state, the devotee may still cultivate feelings involving the soul. First, the devotee thinks of the Lord as a dear friend. This feeling is, however, different from the Sakya Ras, being but a seed of the later manifestation. The devotee, thinking of himself as soul, also offers everything to the lotus feet of the Lord. Thinking that he will offer all his possessions he has to the Lord, he does not care about his own protection. All his efforts, whether body or mind, he attempts to dedicate to the Lord. He understands that his wife, children, house, animals, wealth, possessions, body, and mind are all meant for the service of the Lord. Everything is the Lord's, and he accepts only what is necessary as the Lord's mercy in order to make him more qualified for the Lord's service. All other things are unnecessary. He's willing to sacrifice his enjoyment for the Lord, and he finds out the correct process ascertained by the previous devotees and follows that to the best of his ability. However, the devotee is not fully satisfied with cultivating devotion with body, mind, and soul, because he sees around him the material world as well. He sees his body, and within the body, the mind and soul, as a small part of the universe, and thinks that the world should also be used to cultivate devotion to the Lord. Infinite time and space and all the material forms may be used as ingredients for worship of the Lord. Thinking in this way, he uses place, time, and matter in cultivation of the Lord. Cultivation involving the material world is of 3 types. Cultivation using place, time, and matter. Concerning place, the devotee may go to holy places, to temples, and devotees' homes. Dwarka, Puri, Kanchi, Mathura, Mandala, Navadvip are examples of tirthas. Having heard about the Lord's pastimes in those places and become filled with faith, the devotees go to the tirthas or reside there. With faith, he takes bath in the waters of the Ganga or Yamuna, which have washed the Lord's feet. The devotees go to those places where the forms of the Lord are worshipped. The devotee should always take shelter of the houses and villages of great devotees. He visits the birthplaces and residences of the associates of Lord Chaitanya with faith. By visiting or residing in these places and hearing constantly topics about the Lord and his devotees, attraction for Krishna will arise. Time should also be used to cultivate service to the Lord. After working in the material world for 2 weeks, a person must cultivate the Lord by giving up eating and sleeping on the Ekadashi. The devotee should also observe the vows during Damodar month and observe festivals commemorating the Lord's pastimes. we should also observe significant days in the lives of great devotees. There are many ways of engaging matter in the service of the Lord. Thus, certain trees such as aswatha, datri, and tulsi are used to serve the Lord. The images of the Lord are material objects, but the devotees must worship them as non-different from the Lord, whose identical image resides in the heart of the pure devotees. Among mountains, the devotees may worship Govardhan. Among rivers, he may worship Ganga and Yamuna. Among animals, he worship the cow and calf. Whatever is suitable for bodies in this world is also fit to offer to the Lord. Thus there are rules for offering bed, cloth, scent, sandalwood, utensils to the deity. If the devotee offers his favorite object to the Lord, his service becomes first class. The deities are of 8 types. The devotee is happy that he can engage his body, mind, and soul, place, time, and matter in the service of the Lord, but something is still lacking. If he can engage other people or society in the Lord's service, he'll be happy. Thus, there are rules for cultivation of devotion utilizing social tendency, festive gatherings of devotees, keeping proper standards of Vaishnavas, raising a Vaishnav family, spreading Vaishnav Dharma to all souls. The devotees should have festivals where they can live together, take prasadam together, listen to topics about the Lord, sing the Lord's name together. Those amongst the devotees who are knowledgeable about Madhura Ras can relish the meaning of the literature such as Bhagavatam, which contain topics of Ras. 2 things should be understood about devotee association. In order that Vaishnava offenses are not committed, Sri Chaitanya has given warning in this regard. The devotee should give up the association of devotee pretender. Understand him to be a materialist. Towards those who are sincere, the devotee should offer service and respect. Meeting a true Vaishnava, the devotee should associate with him and serve him with his heart. To the ordinary Vaishnava inclined people, he should show respect. This respect is an external service. These Vaishnav-like people are of 3 types. Those who fully accept Vaishnav conclusions but are not practicing them. Those who take up Vaishnav signs and appearance but are not real Vaishnavas. And those though they have respect for Vaishnavas. Those who are born in the families of great Vaishnavas and wear the signs of a Vaishnava, but are not real Vaishnavas. A true Vaishnava is measured by the degree of purity and depth of his devotion and his capacity to inspire others. A person attains the status of a real Vaishnava as soon as a little pure devotion appears in his heart. If a person respects and takes association of the non-Vaishnavas in the way that he respects the true Vaishnava or the ordinary Vaishnava, his devotion will decrease. Thus, amongst those who wear Vaishnava marks and appear to be Vaishnavas, certain ones should be avoided. These people should be satisfied with the respect due all human beings, which is part of the secondary rules, but they should not be accepted or respected as real Vaishnavas. Thus, among those who wear Vaishnav marks and appear to be Vaishnavas, certain ones should be avoided. These people should be satisfied with the respect due to all human beings, which is part of secondary rules, but they should not be accepted or respected as real Vaishnavas. If they happen to become pure devotees, then they are also qualified for association with other pure devotees. False Vaishnavas are those who wear Vaishnav marks for cheating, those who identify themselves as followers of the Vaishnavacharyas for the purpose of introducing Advaita philosophy to the Vaishnavas, and those who advertise themselves as Vaishnavas to gain money, position, or some other material enjoyment. One should not discuss topics of Ras with anyone except highly qualified persons on the same level of spiritual advancement. In producing a Vaishnava population, the devotee should only associate with Vaishnavas. The wife should be initiated and, if possible, taught Vaishnava philosophy. By great fortune, a person gets a Vaishnava wife. By producing Vaishnava population with a Vaishnava wife, materialism cannot exist. The children should be understood to be servants of the Lord, and the parents should feel satisfaction by increasing the Vaishnava population. The difference between the materialistic and devotional family is a difference not of external form but of consciousness. The materialist also gets married, earns money, builds a house, produces offspring, but his goal is to increase the happiness of the world or his own individual happiness. Though the Vaishnava performs the same activities, he does not claim the results as his own, but acts as a servant of the Lord. The Vaishnava obtains satisfaction and peace, but the materialist, under the control of desire or anger, bred from high aspirations and expectation of enjoyment or freedom, becomes disturbed. The Vaishnava progresses in his practice by the conviction that devotional cultivation will increase through raising a devotee family. As showing compassion to all living entities is the ornament of the devotee, the devotees devise various means of transforming the living entities into Vaishnavas. According to the object, there are 4 types of relationship the devotee may have with others. Towards the Lord he shows prema. Towards pure devotees he shows true friendship. Towards immature devotees and ignorant people he shows mercy. The devotee distributes unlimited mercy to those who have developed qualification for bhakti through good association. He gives them spiritual instruction and delivers them through his diffusion of his special energy. The devotee avoids those unfortunate people who, due to some type of incomplete reasoning, refuse to admit the principle of the elevation of the soul. A sincere disciple should learn to dissociate the mind from everything material and positively cultivate association with his spiritual master and other saintly devotees. He should be merciful to those in an inferior position to him, cultivate friendship with those on an equal level, and meekly serve those in a higher spiritual position. Thus he should learn to deal properly with all living beings. To serve the spiritual master, the disciple should learn cleanliness, austerity, tolerance, silence, study of Vedic knowledge, simplicity, celibacy, nonviolence, and equanimity in the face of material dualities such as heat and cold, happiness and distress. One should practice meditation by constantly seeing oneself to be an eternal cognizant spirit soul and seeing the Lord to be the absolute controller of everything. To increase one's meditation, one should live in a secluded place and give up false attachment to one's home and household paraphernalia. Giving up the decorations of the temporary material body, one should dress himself with scraps of cloth found in rejected places or with the bark of trees. In this way he should learn to be satisfied in any material situation. One should have firm faith that he will achieve all success in life by following those scriptures that describe the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. At the same time, one should avoid blaspheming other scriptures. One should rigidly control his mind, speech, and bodily activities. He should always speak the truth and bring the mind and senses under full control. One should hear, glorify, and meditate upon the wonderful transcendental activities of the Lord. One should specifically become absorbed in the appearance, activities, qualities, and holy names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus inspired, one should perform all of one's daily activities as an offering to the Lord. One should perform sacrifice, charity, and penance exclusively for the Lord's satisfaction. Similarly, one should chant only those mantras which glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And all one's religious activities should be performed as an offering to the Lord. Whatever one finds pleasing or enjoyable, he should immediately offer to the Supreme Lord, and even his wife, children, home, and very life air, he should offer at the feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These are verses now from the scriptures from Srimad Bhagavatam. Firm faith in the blissful narrations of my pastimes, constant chanting of my glories, unwavering attachment to ceremonial worship of me, praising me through beautiful hymns, great respect for my devotional service, offering obeisances with the entire body, performing first-class worship of my devotees, consciousness of me in all living entities, offering of ordinary bodily activities in my service, use of words to describe my qualities, offering the mind to me, rejection of all material desires, giving up wealth for my devotional service, renouncing material sense gratification and happiness, and performing all desirable activities such as charity, sacrifice, chanting, vows, and austerities with the purpose of achieving me. These constitute actual religious principles by which those human beings who have actually surrendered themselves to me automatically develop love for me. What other purpose or goal could remain for my devotee? Those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me, being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Pita, for them I am the swift deliverer of the ocean of birth and death. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. All of these seasonal times are considered extremely auspicious for humanity. At such times one should perform all auspicious activities, for by such activities a human being attains success in his short duration of life. Now I shall describe the places where religious performances may be well executed, and a place where a Vaishnava is available is an excellent place for all auspicious activities. The deity form of the Lord is said to appear in 8 varieties: stone, wood, metal, earth, paint, sand, the mind, or jewels. One who desires his ultimate self-interest should cultivate friendship with those persons who have accepted Krishna as the Lord of their life. One should further develop an attitude of service toward all living beings. One should especially try to help those in the human form of life, and among them, especially those who accept the principles of religious behavior. Among religious persons, one should especially render service to the pure devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. An intelligent person should therefore reject all bad association and instead take up the association of saintly persons whose words cut off the excessive attachment of one's mind. One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation and is engaged in worshipping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid. One develops qualities similar to those with whom one associates, like a jewel picking up colors according to its surroundings. The wise man will therefore take shelter of those of superior quality in order to raise his own qualities. An intermediate or second-class devotee called Madhyamadikari offers his love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is a sincere friend to all the devotees of the Lord, shows mercy to ignorant people who are innocent, and disregards those who are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that is part 2 of chapter 3, Chaitanya Shikshamrta.